And so Mona has this wonderful spoken word that we'll listen to right now. She's the head of operations at the Sandbox, and she is the founder of AfriRato, a platform, a podcast platform, and an SME. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Mona. Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to the Big Baraza powered by Sandbox International. Today is day one of this conference, and as we celebrate the first of many barazas that Sandbox shall run, we decided what better way to launch than on Africa Day. Why Africa Day? It is simple. Here at Sandbox, we are Pan-African at our core with a global outlook. Africa Day commemorates the founding of the organization Community, now known as the African Union, back in 1963 on the 25th of May. It became the African Union in 2000. To paraphrase a quote from the AU, the organization was the manifestation of the Pan-African vision for an Africa that was united, free, and in control of its own destiny. The founders recognized that freedom, equality, justice, and dignity were essential objectives for the achievement of the legitimate aspirations of the African peoples, and that there was a need to promote understanding and cooperation that transcended boundaries between African states. This year, the Africa Day theme is Art, Culture, and Heritage, Levers for Building the Africa We Want. This fits perfectly as to what we here at Sandbox believe. We want to leverage on the African genius of our past, our present, and looking into our future. This in order to create, support, build, and serve the SMEs and entrepreneurs, the backbone of our economies. Please make sure that you have registered for our mailing list so that you can receive the latest news and exciting products from the Sandbox Village experts and our partners. We stand on the shoulders of our ancestors who perfected trade across the region and the continent, like Mirambo of the Nyamwezi of Tanzania, Chief Kivoi Mwendwa of the Akamba of Kenya, and King Caleb of Aksum of Ethiopia and Eritrea, who were well-known trading leaders and civilizations with their neighbors as well as with foreigners. We recognize and celebrate our ancient and famous trading cities such as Kilwa Kisimani and Sofala off the eastern coastline. These were the market spots, the barazas, their day. Today we build on these ancient practices and reclaim this glorious history. We have an exciting program and lineup of African experts and leaders who live and breathe African excellence in business, especially in the SME and entrepreneurial space. This is your conference. SMEs for SMEs. This is your space, and we want you to use your voice and engage with them. Karibuni nyote.
Thank you very much, Mona, for that wonderful spoken word about Africa Day. I am proud to be African today, and I hope you are too, if you're from Africa and you're African. Now, I'm about to introduce a big man, a good man. I'm about to introduce a friend, a visionary, a man who has worked very hard for the last almost 15 years to bring SMEs to the forefront, especially African SMEs to where they should be. He is passionate about Africans, and he is passionate about business and African businesses. His name is Jonah Minamo, and he's the founder and CEO of Sandbox, and he is the visionary behind the Big Baraza. Jonah Minamo helps and loves to help businesses and entrepreneurs in Kenya and across Africa to innovate and to develop a wide range of entrepreneurial strategies and to help them scale. It's hard to encompass everything that Joram is, but I'll tell you this, we couldn't be luckier in this generation to have a man who believes in small and medium enterprises like this guy does. And so, the visionary, the founder of Sandbox, and the person who has brought us all together, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Jonah Minamo. Joram, come on and join me on stage.
Thank you so much, Amani, for such a glowing tribute. Check your... Yeah.
You're welcome,
Thank you,
sir.
Amani. You can hear me? That's the standard opening statement for today. Thank you for such a glowing introduction. You can check your M-Pesa. I have sent something just because of such a glowing introduction. But welcome everyone to the Big Baraza. We are very excited to have everyone here with us. This is a first event for us, but we are quite excited at the conversations that are going to be coming down the day as we begin. And I just want to take this time to welcome everyone who's taken their time to register. I would like to take this time to thank all our partners and our main sponsors, both Facebook and Jubilee, and every other partner who's come on board, whether as a speaker, whether as a collaborator, whether from government or private sector, or the SMEs who are really the center of what it is that we are doing here today. And I would just like to start by, speaking about why we have this Big Baraza. And for that, I would like to share with you just a quick presentation concerning, how we ended up where it is that we are today. Basically, how we ended up at the Big Baraza began with the year 2020 that was. And 2020 for many of us would probably be a year that many of us would like to forget, because it was not an easy year. It was a difficult year. And we are quite, acutely aware of just how difficult it was, because we spent our time at the Sandbox basically studying what's going on, and also put a lot of effort to support people during the time that we had COVID-19. Last year, one of the companies at the Sandbox, Wild International, carried out a survey of how SMEs were doing. And at first, we did the first survey between March and April. If you remember quite well, just when COVID had been announced. At that time, none of us knew how long this was going to take. But we did a second survey between September and October, which was like 6 months into the pandemic. And it was very clear that the number of businesses that were significantly worse off had grown. A lot of people had seen their revenues, fall all the way from what they were doing to even 20% of what they would normally do. And a lot of people had to let go of staff. Many of them had to struggle through surviving the pandemic. Some people let go of their offices. And generally, it was a relatively difficult year. I'm told my settings are such that I'm not sharing my entire screen. Let me just quickly change that. I think we have gotten used to this with all the Zooms that we've been doing. And so it was clear that a lot of, small to medium-sized enterprises generally, struggled through the year. And there were tough decisions to be made as far as, business was concerned. And many people just getting to the end of the year and their businesses still running was considered, great performance. Another study that was done by another Sandbox expert called Collect Pro was on personal indebtedness down the year. And from the survey that we did, only 33% of the people that we surveyed were up to date with their debt repayment. Up to 50% were slightly behind, significantly behind, or unable to repay their debt. And so with all the data that we collected here, it was quite clear that people were struggling to keep things going, and that, businesses needed to rethink how they were operating in order to survive. But something else was happening in that same year, because we launched the Sandbox in February of 2020, which was exactly 1 month just before the pandemic hit. And for many of you, you'll know that the Sandbox is a physical space that kind of carries out a co-working format for the experts to collaborate together. And everybody was basically worried for us, wondering, you've just launched a big new idea. Are you going to survive? And we came together, even as the COVID announcements were being made, and began to re-strategize and just to see how, as a community, we can surmount the challenges that were coming as a result of COVID. And so we launched a Sandbox, which is a one-stop shop made up of 25 different areas of expertise that are brought together under one to serve SMEs. The people in front of you are the experts that are here. We have everyone from governance to digital marketing, ICT, customer experience, audit, tax, brand, marketing, like you name it. All these people came together under physical space to say that they were going to join hands, create solutions that help keep SMEs afloat. And so we were lucky because we had 25 heads instead of one, just to strategize through the year and see how do we keep our businesses going. But even more importantly, how do we keep the other businesses that are coming to the Sandbox? We were pathetic of the fact that SMEs were struggling out there, SMEs ourselves, and we took time to just think, how can we re-strategize during this time? And as we did that and helped out different SMEs, we began to realize that also having a positive effect on ourselves as a Sandbox. And data that we collected down the line from the different services that are here, that are collaborating here. In front of you, you can also see just the different engines that we have at the Sandbox and the different companies that are right there that you can access. All these services are available here from these different companies, and the individuals that I showed you just before are the same ones who run these businesses. And so as they came together to work together, something began to happen at the Sandbox itself, which is that we began to see the companies that were at the Sandbox growing. And this was, quite a unique phenomenon because at the end of the day, everyone during COVID was talking about the fact that business has reduced and they were, struggling, letting go of people. But at the Sandbox, the reverse was actually happening. Every company actually hired a minimum, a mean of 2 people when you look at the number of part-time jobs that were created at the Sandbox, and 3 full-time employees as well. So while businesses were struggling out there, here at the Sandbox, we actually had the opposite happening, where we were actually recruiting so that we can continue to support the SMEs that are out there. At the Sandbox, it was also very clear that people served a larger number of clients than they had done the year before. So it was clear that something about the formula that we had put together was working. And by the end of the year, there was actually a 79% increase in revenue collectively from all the Sandbox experts. So it was, very clear that something was happening that was positive and that we had come across a formula that was working. During that time, we also managed to attract others who share the same concern as ourselves in terms of building SMEs, and managed to build partnerships with the organizations in front of you. We also looked at the database of all the different small, medium, and large enterprises that we are serving collectively at the Sandbox, and the number is currently at about 1,700. So, what is it about this formula that is different? And for us, the Sandbox formula has been something that is basically giving us infinite possibilities. We talked about designing a formula that delivers sustainable business models localized for the African ecosystem. And we call this the village formula. Why the village formula? All of us come from a village somewhere. At the end of the year, we are always saying that we are going back to the village. And for us, it has been very important to go back to our roots as Africans and say that we've always done things collectively. And when we create that collaboration collectively as a village, we are able to achieve better results than when everyone tries to go at it alone. And so this formula of coming together under one roof as different collaborators that has turned out to be quite successful and provided infinite possibilities is something that we then felt we can extend to the rest of the SMEs in Kenya, and just to encourage people and say, look, there's a different way we can do this, and the different way in which you can do this goes back to our roots. How about we go back to doing things how we always did it as a village? Because when villages hold hands together, nobody goes hungry. When villages hold hands together, nobody lacks. And why not bring back that which was at the center of how we operated as Africans and make it mainstream? And that's basically what brought about the idea for us to build, something that would then extend that village. And the idea of the SME conference made by SMEs was born. And that's what brought us to this Big Baraza. Because we said, if this formula is working very well for ourselves, why not extend the village and, spread that formula across? Why not rope in more people to come together as a village in a baraza, have a big conversation around how can we keep things going during these difficult times. So we invited SMEs to be part of, this conference. We invited government regulators who were very gracious to agree to join us, and you'll be speaking of them later today. We invited corporate players who are also interested in creating solutions for SMEs, and together we've been able to bring together all these different parties who traditionally and ordinarily would not be speaking to each other, to have a dialogue and discuss about how can we move things forward together. And therefore, this Big Baraza, we hope, will become an annual event, born, conference for SMEs by SMEs, and where SMEs are at the center of the conversation and driving the conversation forward. And so we are glad that you've all been able to join us to have this conversation together with us. And basically, by placing SMEs, their needs and needs at the center of the conversation, and having them lead the conversations about SMEs will help us get to the heart of the issues that are plaguing SMEs, the challenges that are there, but also talk about the opportunities that are there for SMEs and, grow that conversation down the year. So the big dream that we have for Baraza is to be bringing together over 1,000 SMEs to just actively engage. And this year we've had to do it virtually, but we hope, things open up down the line, we may now be able to do hybrid, barazas that can bring together people from across the country, but also bring people physically into the space. And we're basically looking at inspiring and having innovative conversations with regulators, policymakers, different implementers across the country on different issues. And our theme this year is about expanding the business village. How do we expand this village and make sure that nobody is left behind and nobody goes hungry in our village? And this is a kickoff also of mini barazas that we are going to be having throughout the year. We are looking at every month or every other month having focused conversations, whether it's with those same regulators, policymakers, or corporate players. We hope to be coming together to just have very focused and in-depth conversations about different issues that will enable us to grow into the future. And we also took time and did our report about what to expect in 2021 and beyond. I believe somebody will be able to post this link in the public chat right now, where you can download the scenarios report. We brought together an economist, a political analyst, a health expert, and a technologist to talk about what should we expect going forward. And basically, with elections coming up, with the debt burden still being there on the economy, with our slow vaccination process, it is very clear that, the next few years are not going to be as optimistic as they were before COVID hit. And that generally things are going to take some time before the economy recovers back to the same levels that it was. And the whole, COVID situation has forced us to adopt technology a lot faster than we had hoped before. And so, you can download our scenarios report, and there's also a video where we've had that discussion about what to expect. But clearly, it's going to be a little bit difficult for, some longer time. But we here at the Sandbox are quite prepared to, come up with solutions that can help the whole SME space or the people who support them or are interested in them to move and you possibly even to thrive during this time, as we have found. So we are inviting you to join, our community. We're going to be launching some startup products next month. We are looking at launching some innovation and entrepreneurship challenges. I'm very excited with some large corporates here in Kenya, and you'll see those announcements soon. We'll continue to do our internal programs, online workshops and webinars, just to support you through the different challenges you're going through. We will continue to do our research reports, and we'll continue to collaborate with other industry players so that we are able to create that environment that continues to support SMEs and makes it favorable so that we can create competitive SMEs right here in Kenya. Tomorrow I'll be talking about, bigger opportunities and also the future of Sandbox. So I look forward to seeing you. But welcome to the Big Baraza. Enjoy yourself. Learn, interact, network, shamelessly promote your business in the chat. Please, we are all SMEs. Have fun. And it's a pleasure to welcome you and to officially the Big Baraza. Thank you. Mani?